Thank you, Vi, and welcome to today's conference. This time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. After the presentation, we'll conduct a question-and-answer session. To ask your question, you may press star 1 on your touch-tone phone. Today's conference call is being recorded. If you have any objections, you may disconnect. I'll introduce your conference host, Ms. Suzanne Kisner. Ma'am, you may begin.
Hi, Suzanne. Thank you so much for introducing me. I welcome everyone to Using Flickr and Other Photo Sharing Sites to Tell Your Story of Thee. We are so happy that you are a part of today's presentation. Before we get started, I did want to introduce today's speakers. We have Liz Matthews, who is the Outreach Specialist for the Corporation and National and Community Service, Danielle Ricks, who is the Social Media Specialist for Campaign Consultation, and Robin Stegman, who is the Project Specialist for Campaign Consultation. And Danielle will be presenting today, and Robin will be managing your questions and leading the dialogue in the chat feature of the presentation. At this point, I will hand it off to Danielle.
Thank you much, Suzanne. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're just going to go over a little bit of housekeeping here before we get started. And these are your tips for participating. And so if we could just go ahead and advance the slide. Thank you, ma'am. So we want you to submit your questions for myself and Liz, and later on we'll have Vista joining us, present your questions in the Q&A feature, and that's in the bottom right of your screen. And Robin is there to help monitor those questions, and we're going to do our best to work them into the presentation or address them during the formal Q&A portion of the section later on. We do ask, however, that when you're using that Q&A section that you stay on topic, so that we make sure that we get all of those questions. And we're also looking for tips and resources, so please share those with us, and we will make sure that we share them as well. And you may send a chat message privately to the host or the presenters, but your message to attendees will be visible to everyone. So keep that in mind as you compose your messages and you're chatting in the chat feature, which is a little bit different than the Q&A. So all phone lines are muted to keep the background noise to a minimum. And later on, we'll open the phone lines up to take more of your questions. We will continue to display the phone number for you on the next few slides, and that's at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. So if you get disconnected, you'll be able to call back in, so you might want to write that number down. And then again, if you do get disconnected from WebEx, you can rejoin us using the link that was emailed to you. And this webinar, as we said earlier, is being recorded, and it's going to be available for you on the Webinars for Vista page on the Vista campus, and also on the Social Media Monday archive course page on the Vista campus as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Liz, and she's going to go over an overview for you for today's webinar. Hi, Liz.
Great. Thanks, Danielle, and thanks, everyone, for taking time out of your day to join us for today's Social Media Monday web shop. We really do appreciate your interest and are thrilled that you're taking advantage of this professional development opportunity. So you all are at different stages in your term of service, but you have noticed and experienced that sometimes it's difficult for people to envision what it is exactly that you're up to and what you're doing as a Vista. So sharing can help both community members and family members understand Vista better. So this is a great way to give them a visual as to what you're doing. Later on, we're going to explore different ways to share photos. We're focusing primarily on Flickr, but we're also going to touch on Instagram, Picasa, Snapseed, and we don't want to forget the web-based photo sharing sites such as Facebook, Twitter, and our very own Vista campus. Those are all things to keep in mind. And also, we every month we offer webinars, and every other month we offer these Social Media Monday web shops. And all of these are posted on the Vista calendar and on the Vista campus under ongoing learning. So we'll share all related links on the slide at the end of this presentation. Social Media Monday web shops focus on, as you would imagine, various social media tools, and we show you how to use the tools firsthand through accounts from Vistas and also through technology experts that we have on board. And we also talk about why these tools are valuable in your Vista service. They're not just toys. They're definitely valuable tools that you can use to move the mission of your organization forward. So I want you to walk away from each one of our webinars and web shops with a better understanding of how these tools can work for you and your sponsor site. So we're going to hand it back over to Danielle to go over an agenda.
Thank you so much, Liz. So on the right-hand side, you'll see a poll that's ticking away, and we hope that you will take a moment to fill that out for us. We want to take a temperature in the room and just see how many of you are using photo sharing sites and how you're using them. So the first question is very easy, very basic. Do you share photos online through your position as a Vista? Please answer yes or no to that one. And if so, how do you currently share photos? Various photo sharing sites we're going to be talking about today: Flickr, Picasa, Snapseed, and there's several others. Are you using any of those? We would like to know if you're using a smartphone app, for instance, if you're using Instagram, and also you're sharing your photos to Twitter or someplace else. And if we want to know why you're sharing these photos online, is this to document your service, to promote a project, to Vista experience, as Liz said, with your family and friends who may or may not know what you're doing, and to showcase your talent? So we would like you to answer those for. We still have a couple of minutes for that, so go ahead and take your time while I go over today's agenda. The very first thing we're going to do in just a second is introduce you to our Vista guests. As Liz said, we like to get folks who are on the ground, the Vistas who are out there doing the work, and they help bring some credence to these web shops for us, and we know that you'll relate to them far better than you will some of the technical experts that we have for you. So we're going to introduce our guest, and then we'll come back to him a little bit later on. We want to give you an opportunity to become familiar with some of the photo sharing sites. There are so many out there. We're going to touch on a few of the big ones and the ones that we think are going to be of the best use to you and your service. And I'm going to give you examples of how AmeriCorps Vista uses the photo sites that we use, how we're using them to engage with our community and to get the message out about the good work that you all are doing in your national service. We're going to talk about tips and resources, and we'll get those from the chat. So again, we're hoping that you're going to add those in the chat feature, and we'll come back to them. And along the way, if you have questions, once again, use the Q&A section for that. Said we're going to have a Vista case study. Our guest is going to talk to us about how he's using photos in his service to make sure that people understand the mission of where he's serving in his organization and how he is engaging people using visuals to do that. And that we leave time at the end for questions and answers. So we want to make sure that we do that. So if you would go on ahead and introduce our guest, and then let's see where we are with the poll after that.
So we are lucky to have Phil Clark with us today. Phil, why don't you tell everybody where you're serving and what your role is?
I'm Phil. I'm a second-year AmeriCorps Vista for UGIV, the letter U, of course, where I do strategy for our social media, including Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram. I serve in Cincinnati, and in my first year, I served in the Dayton, Ohio area. In the last 6 months of my AmeriCorps year, my second year, and it's been a great run.
Super, Phil, and you can tell from his photograph there that he's good at taking Instagram pictures, and he's even live tweeting there. So that's a great shot, and we'll hear more from Phil a little bit later on.
Thanks so much, Liz. So, Susan, do we have the results of the poll?
And okay, so here it looks like the majority of you are using sharing your photos as part of your Vista work, which is wonderful. So hopefully you will see some of the tricks that you use during this presentation, as well as pick up a few more. And it looks like you're using, not all, you're using Twitter. Many of you are using other, and a few are using some of the photo sharing sites and smartphone apps. So hopefully you'll be able to pick up some new tricks today, and that you are sharing online based on your project, which is wonderful, and other things as well as documenting your service and sharing with your friends and family and showcasing your talent, of course.
Great. We have a great opportunity to go ahead and share with you all some of the other sites that you may be able to use to tell your story of V. And these are some of the popular ones. Flickr, which we favor at AmeriCorps Vista. We're going to tell you a little bit about our Flickr page and our Flickr pool and how you can join and share photos with us. Of course, there's Instagram, which is very popular as an app. It was recently purchased by Facebook, so obviously there's an integration there where you're able to post very quickly from Instagram to Facebook. But you can also go to Twitter and Tumblr and some other sites. You may not have heard about Snapseed. It is really a phenomenal editing tool, and the reason why we like it so much is because you can either use it mobilely to edit your photos, or you can use it via your desktop. And this is to create images, this is to create filters, and it's really a great way for you to share. We'll talk about that a little later on. Maybe you are using Twitter already, and I think, as you know, when you add a visual component to your tweet, then it gets retweeted far more often than if you would just put a basic tweet in there. Picasa is Google's photo sharing site, and so if you're using Google, you want to make sure that you're uploading photos there, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. And then, of course, you've got to add photos to Facebook. If you are using social media at all, you understand that instantaneous response that you get. And as more people engage with social media via smartphones, they're discovering that taking a picture on the go, with these high-resolution phones, it's much less tedious than typing out a status update on those tiny 2-inch keyboards. Pictures have become a short form of communicating lots of information quickly, and search engines now rank content based on social conversations and share. So if part of your assignment is responsible for marketing and ROI, which is return on investment, then kind of things moving up in the search is very important to you. And so not just websites alone, but also the content that you're sharing helps move you up in the ranking. So we want to talk about a little bit. Use some of those. I touched on Instagram. It is an app. It originally came out just for the iPhone, and now it's for Droid phones as well. It's a fun and easy, self-explanatory way to be able to share photos from your phone very quickly. And we're going to talk a little bit later on about what kind of photos would you share. So here we're talking about the applications, but then we want to help you figure out how to use it to tell your story of V. The link is provided there for you, and it will also be provided at the end of this presentation for everything that we're talking about. Next thing is Flickr. I touched on it a little bit. We use this quite a bit. Again, this link is going to be available to you. And I'm going to go ahead and take rights. Actually, Suzanne's going to give me rights, and I'm going to remember how to share this time. So here we go. And, we have done a very extensive webinar on Flickr, and that's not what we're going to do today. But there is a link available for you to take a quick tour. So it's very simple. We're just going to go through some 1, 2, 3s of this. You can tell a story with photos. And the thing about Flickr is that it allows you to have folks leave comments on your photos, and you also have an integration of a location of where the photo was taken, and it will even tell you the kind of camera that was used when the photo was taken, which is really cool. You can add notes, you can favorite different photos, you can add people to your photos for reference, and you can tag your photos. We do suggest, and we'll talk about this a little bit later on in just a minute when we go over to our Flickr pool page, that when you're doing this for your service, that you're very conscious about how you're tagging your photos, because again, this moves you up in the search, but it also allows people to very easily find the photos that have to do with your mission. So if you're working in education, you want to make sure you tag education. You want to also, of course, tag AmeriCorps Vista. You could do 2 separate tags, one for AmeriCorps, one for Vista, and then one together. The more you're tagging your photos, the more people will find them and the greater reach you're going to have. And again, this is another way for you to engage your community because they're going to leave comments on your photos. You can share your photos with your friends and family. You can make your photos stream public, or you can make your photos stream private, and you can search by name or email. You can import contacts from Yahoo, from Gmail or Hotmail. You can invite your friends to see them. So this is just one way, again, to keep engaging. And your photos can go wherever you go. Will go to Facebook, or they'll go to Twitter, or you can add them to these particular blogs. And you can also upload them from your device, from your browser, and then Flickr has its own desktop app. So they just make it really easy for you. And they also have third-party apps so that you can send them to iPhoto. You will recognize that icon if you're an iOS user. And you can also send them to Google, and this is Microsoft. So take a little time. This link is available. It's the tour. If you've never used Flickr before, go ahead and take the tour. We encourage you to use it, again, either from your phone, via email, or from your browser. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about how we use Flickr, and I'm going to turn it over to Liz, and she's going to go over our V is for group pool.
Great. Thank you, Danielle. So we started this because we thought it would be a good idea to have a collection of images that represent what V is for. This is where your creativity comes in. So members and alums can post images up there and share visions of what Vista is all about. As you may know, Vista's been around since 1965. So at this point, we have probably over 185,000 alums that have served in communities from the inner city to the Outer Banks. So there are so many different places and so many different ways that Vistas are making a difference in communities across the country. And so every experience is unique, but there is that common bond of being a volunteer in service to America. So as you can see, there are lots of images here that are representing Vistas at work. And obviously, since it's about direct service, sometimes it's a little tricky to describe what it is you can do, what you do. But you see that snowman there. That's always a creative way to demonstrate Vista. And one of my favorite photos is there's one on the steps of the Montana State Capitol. I don't know if Danielle can find that one, but it's just a really great image. All of these, there are 42 Vistas that came together who were serving in Montana, and they formed a V on the steps of the Montana State Capitol. And it's just a really fun way to see the power of Vista visually and to see how Vista really is an integral part of the community, and that stakeholders in that community should really take notice as to what Vista is up to and what we're all about.
And it's interesting you said that, because I'm having a difficult time finding it, but do we know how you tagged it? Because I wonder if...
Oh, we could try Montana, see if that works.
And so this is a good example for you all of how you can start to look and how tags are really important. So it would have been great if I could have just, of course we're going to get everything that's tagged Montana. So if we go a little bit different and we go a little bit deeper and we say Montana Vista, and if that will find the photo for us. And if not, I will make sure that we get it before this is over. So this is the importance of tagging.
There we go. That's really what we were trying to demonstrate here.
I'm going to go one level deeper and see if AmeriCorps got photo. That would be no.
Okay, so yes, the importance of tagging. Anyways, there's lots of different images, as you can see, from looking around our group pool that you can use to demonstrate what V is for to you. So we've taken our V is for program a step further, and we've created a page on the Vista campus, which summarizes what it's all about. And there are several ways that you can demonstrate what V is for. So if you scroll down a little bit, you can show it either through the written word and the Stories of V forum on the Vista campus. So that's one way that you can demonstrate what V is for. You can do it through video on the America or Vista YouTube channel. And then finally through photos, as we just saw in the V is for group pool on Flickr. So you can go ahead and show us, demonstrate us, however that is for you, whether it is through photos or the written word or video. And then save and submit and share through the various social media tool, and then you're done. And once a month, we actually choose a winner, whatever the most compelling entry is. So again, it can be the written word, video, or photographs. And then we email the winners directly and then announce it on Facebook. And I actually thought we could go ahead and use this call as an excuse to find the January winner. The V is for pool on Flickr, honestly, the entries there are a little bit old, so we are promoting this program, and we'd love to have some of you on this call today go ahead and post some of your pictures from what you've been doing in your service term. And so we'll announce the winner at the end of this week, and so you'll be notified by email if you are the lucky winner, and we will send you a Vista vintage T-shirt and post your winning entry on our social media tools. So I encourage you, when we're done with this web shop, to go ahead and enter the contest, and we'd love to see what you're up to.
We also encourage you to, as we said a little bit earlier, to leave comments, because, I don't know, if you leave a comment and you really like a photo, that might sway us.
This is true. This is a good point. Thank you, Danielle.
Who might be the winner? So hopefully you all will participate in that for us. So now we're going to go back on over, and we've talked about Flickr a bit. We've given the link in the chat feature for the tour. It's very easy, as I said, to go either from your mobile device, email, your browser, or from the actual Flickr desktop app. We've shown you a little bit about our VS4 pool. We're hoping that you add your photos to that. We want to make sure that this campaign stays nice and robust. And in addition to winning your dirt, you do get featured on our social media sites. So that's an opportunity for you to shine, and one more opportunity for people to see what you're doing. So please go ahead and do that, and we'll feature you here on the VS4 page. And so now we'd like to just take a moment and ask Robin, have we gotten any tips or resources that we can share?
We had a couple of resources that are good. One of them is Martha suggested some photo editing tools like Instagram. So to check out Be Funky and Afterglow, which are great photo editing tools that can make some really good, compelling photos.
Very cool. And questions, or should we save those for a little bit later on?
At the moment, I don't have actually, one just came in. Since Vista is encouraging use of photos and mobile integration, will there be any reimbursement for our cell phone contracts?
This is Liz. That is a very valid and good question. I'm afraid the answer is no at this time. But make sure what your data plan is, and so you don't get dinged with. You all of a sudden start using features that you haven't been using. Just be aware of what your data plan is. I wish that was a different answer, but I'm afraid that is where we are these days.
And I would just like to add, too, if part of your assignment is social media and you're not getting reimbursed, and so using your cell phone is not an option and being able to do this on the phone, we do absolutely want to encourage you to use the desktop versions. When you're at work and when you're there in your particular job and you're there representing Vista during the day and you're not on your phone, then you can actually take the photo on your smartphone, upload it to your desktop at work, and then share it when you're working on your social media plan during the day. I know it's not as quick and easy, and it's probably not the answer that you want to hear, but I do it all the time, actually. I take photos and I come back and I upload them later. Certainly there are going to be opportunities for you to do this in the field that you might want to capture, but if you cannot do it in the field and you can't do it right away, come on back, and the next day that you get to the office, go ahead and share it. It will not take away from the experience at all, I promise you.
And Neil, this is Liz again. Just to say, this was my answer on behalf of AmeriCorps Vista headquarters, but you may be able to get some reimbursement funds from your site. So talk to your supervisor and see if that's an option.
Very good. So, okay, Robin, or should we move forward? Do we have any other questions?
Just one quick question. Do you post any VS4 photos as your service your service term is complete?
Punting to you, Liz.
Can you say that again?
Can you post VS4 photos after your service term is complete?
Absolutely. Yes, we would love all members and alumni to participate, and you're always a member of the service family, so things do not end. Your relationship with Vista does not end after your service date ends. So yes, we encourage you to continue being a part of the community.
Good. Okay, so now at this particular moment, keep sending your questions in, keep adding your tips and resources. We'll get back to you a little bit later. Right now we want to introduce you once again, reintroduce you to Phil. And Phil, so tell us a little bit about YouGive and what you do there.
I do the social media strategy for YouGive, but what YouGive does is we connect high school students as well as do many capacity building programs in the state of Ohio with outreach, tutoring, and social enterprise. Hence we have this admire these programs. We have 16 in 6 cities in the state of Ohio.
Use photo sharing to document your story of service. How does this come into play for you?
Our photos to take pictures of service as well as to target our students that are 13 to 24 years of age that are passionate about service, because that's the people that we're trying to target with in going to our website, as well as teachers and nonprofits who pride in youth service. It's a great tool, not just for the artistic standpoint, but also for the photo standpoint, and it really puts our social media strategy to a whole new level.
Well, why you think that photos are good for storytelling? It's a very powerful tool, you said, but explain to us why you think that's so.
It's better than text. When you put 200 characters or so in a grouping of text, it's just not as fun to look at as, some students fun doing service. And it really helps us not only in the short term in getting likes, but also in the long term with our Vista programs, and that high school students could be interested in the YouGive Vista program 5 years down the road.
Now, back up a little bit. You said that it helps you get likes, so you're talking about on your Facebook page. Is that correct? The more photos that you add to your Facebook page, the more likes you get? Or are you talking about your website, or both?
Both on website, on Instagram, and on Facebook. If you put photos from Instagram to Facebook, you'll get better reach. On your Facebook page, you'll get better reach than if you just upload a normal photo from your Facebook page the typical way.
Okay, so having said that, let's go over to your Instagram page and let's talk very specific about the things that you do post. So this is the YouGive Instagram, and what am I looking at? What are we seeing?
There's a lot of posts on our content, like our blog posts on the YouGive blog, as well as MLK Day. From our Twitter page, we just recently got to 1,000 followers at YouGive. This service, this service that we do, and we would love to put these photos, by the way, on your Vista Flickr page.
Excellent.
Smart marketing move, my friend.
We're going to have a bias towards you, Phil, though, for winning the contest. Everybody else, it's fair game. It's fair game.
Exactly right.
Tell our vistas around the state to do it as well. All that we do with YouGive are on our Instagram page, and we try to have fun as well, not only through our staff, but also through our students. And the students love it as well, and the vistas. And one of our main goals is definitely to have fun with our Instagram page.
And one of the things you also said is that you take photos around the office, and it speaks back to a little bit about what Liz was saying earlier on, to be able to track your entire experience, what the mission of the organization is, but then what life as a Vista is, your story of you can also take photos of those kind of things, correct?
Oh, yeah, our office is quite fun. A lot of young people, and we definitely show that Vista is a very fun experience, or hopefully we are.
Okay. Do you have any questions for him before we move on to one very specific photo that he used?
Phil, do you have any advice for some of those who are probably not as involved as you are so far in putting photos up? Any suggestions for content or ways to get started?
I first started in social media back in maybe 2009, 2010. I got more like just trying to see what sticks, just trying to see what works for you, and just trying to be yourself on the internet. And if you don't get likes, try to see how you make that better. Really, it's not really being tech savvy. It's just being yourself online. That's the point of most of these apps.
I think
Also,
point.
I would use image enhancers like the ones talked about earlier, as well as PicFrame. There's Photoshop Express. There are many apps that can really enhance your photos and take you to the next level.
Great. So it's just a matter of trying and seeing what works. I like what you say, and it reminds me during our last call, our Vista guest said, be professional but be real. And that was great advice, because you do want your personality to come through, because that's interesting. That's what's going to attract people. But you also want to maintain professionalism about in terms of the content, images, and text that you're posting. So, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. And we're lucky to have 16 Vistas around the state who are also creative and can do the awesome content as well.
And point out that you don't have to be this, great photographer and creative genius. If you look at this particular photo right here, someone just wrote and they wrote their hashtag, but that
my handwriting's terrible.
But it's a great example of you to use the hashtag #IServe, which was used during MLK, and it will get you a lot more eyeballs on what you're doing with something like this than if you just do the hashtag alone. I just wanted to encourage people that you don't. This is another great example. We'll show you one that actually we did for Vista Buzz. Very similarly, you take a quote, you write it down, and you take a photo of it. And if you tweet that or you post that on Instagram and you post it on Facebook, that's going to get you a little bit more traction. So just want the folks on the call to know that creativity does not mean that you have to be this great photographer. It's just ways of capturing the image that tell the story of V.
Exactly.
And so tell us a little bit about this test that you had, because now getting into the nitty-gritty of how are you using photos and how you get more followers, and having contests is one great way to do it. So tell us a little bit about that.
This campaign was not just myself, but it was also an awesome team of people at YouGive. Because we have a target towards 13 to 17-year-olds, 18-year-old students from high school. We wanted to do a contest for them for the holidays about student volunteering, and we wanted to use Instagram as the vehicle for that. So we created a hashtag YouGive Holiday Contest, and we got over 30 entrants. Our winner in Ohio with 101 likes. And second place was in Texas, so we got entrants from all over the U.S. The winner got $15 Starbucks gift cards. It was great because we got over 50 new followers from this, lots of interaction on our Twitter and Facebook pages, because we didn't just promote on our Instagram page. We also promote our blog, Facebook, Pinterest, all the vehicles that we promote ourselves through.
And that's the idea about that, because this was a holiday and it lends itself very easily to a contest. But for those of you on the phone, I'd love to hear from you of, we're in winter and we're approaching spring soon. Oh boy, I sure hope soon. And so what other photo contests do you think that you might be able to come up with? And we'll open the lines up a little bit later on, but I want to get your creative juices running to think about different ways that you could use photos, because the point of this is to engage more people, correct? So we want more people to find out about what you do in service and about your organization. And how can we encourage them and help them to do that, Phil? Because this is what this webinar really is about. It's like, how do you engage people using these visual mediums, and how do you grow your community?
Yeah, growing your community, we definitely have some awesome ideas in the next couple of months, like caption contests, things that would be relevant to maybe even like the Super Bowl, Valentine's Day. We just want to do things that engage people, not in the service, but to get others to see the good things that we're doing as a whole as well.
Something to add before I move on to some of the other places, Liz?
That's great.
right. So the next thing that we want to talk about, we talked about YouGive on Instagram, and that is an app, a mobile app, and now we want to talk about Picasa, which is Google's offering. And the link is available for you for the Google Guide. And in that, you'll learn how to use Picasa to organize and edit your photos and video. They now have added video to it. And Google softwares, they help you organize, edit, and upload photos in a quick, easy step. And what I mean by that is whether you have an iPhone or an Android phone, and we know that they don't always play nice in the sandbox together, but they are when it comes to this particular app and this particular platform. And once you open up your Google account and you authorize it to have access to the photos on your phone, the minute that you sign into Google from your phone, it will upload those photos to your G Plus account, your Google Plus account. Now, it will keep them private so that they're available for you when you're ready to share them. So this goes back to what I was saying before. You may be uploading in the moment. You may not want to use all of your minutes. You may be on a limited plan. The minute you go into Google Plus, hopefully it's someplace that's certified, you're not getting charged for it. It goes right into your shared folder in Picasa, and it sits and it just waits for you, and you're ready to share it with the public or with your circles. Option. We hope that you'll look into that one. The other one is Snapseed, and I just really like Snapseed a lot because it allows you to share, I think I said mobily and from the desktop, and both are very robust platforms. And so this link is available for you as well, and it's a really great way for you to either your desktop, if you're not in the field, and you can create, and there are many of these, but you can create vintage photos, you can add drama to them, you can put frames around them, you can fine-tune the photos, you can make them look, maybe you were taking the photo in low light and you need to give it a little bit more punch. This allows you to do it from your desktop, or it also allows you to do it from your mobile device. And it's a great platform for editing. I know that some are being mentioned in the chat. We mentioned some a little bit earlier. I encourage you to go ahead and try this one. We really like it a lot. And, so that's Snapseed. And then the other thing is, don't forget about sharing your photos in your traditional social media sites, which is Facebook and Twitter. So just today we did a post about this particular website, web app, and it was, there we go. And see that these photos that pop up get a lot more shares than they do if you're just doing a straight Facebook post. What I will say to you is that quotes for us do very well. So I think Phil touched on the fact that you're going to have to do some experimenting to see what works for you and what does not. But for the most part, because of the timeline with Facebook, these photos just add a vibrancy to your page that if you look at this particular portion of the page, there's a lot going on, but it doesn't draw our eye as much as the ones that have these big photos. And this allows other people to then share the photo and share your story via V. I also encourage you to send us your photos on Facebook, and to go ahead and tag AmeriCorps Vista when you're doing this, and we will bring you front and center, as we did with this particular photo. Because we are so very proud of our Vista. We do want to show off what you do, and we love to see you, obviously, in your Vista gear. So make sure that you have your Vista T-shirts on, and we want to give you the opportunity to elevate what you're doing in a way. Twitter, we actually used this particular logo for Social Media Monday. It's one of our icons. When we tweeted it, instead of just going ahead and saying we were going to have this particular web shop, we also gave them this particular photo. This came out of a fortune cookie, so creativity comes from everywhere. and again, you don't have to be a fantastic photographer. And then these are photos that actually we retweeted of the work that the Vistas are doing. And so that's another way to engage and grow your community, is to not just do your own photos, but to also retweet photos of others. It gives you a little bit more legs. And we retweeted what we were doing for MLK Day, and there I serve hashtag and on and on. And it actually just adds a great visual and a great way of expressing what you're doing as opposed to a straight tweet. Okay, now we're to the point where we can take some questions.
Operator, if you could please give us instructions for indicating if anyone has a question on the line, that would be great. Thank you.
If you would like to ask your question by phone, please mute your phone and press star 1. Only record your first and last name. If you want to withdraw your question at any time, you may press star 2. Once again, if you would like to ask your question, you may press star 1 on your touch-tone phone. 1 for the first question.
While we that first question, Robin, is there anything that we can address now?
Some great questions in discussion. One of them is, what are the legal and permission issues of sharing a community member's pictures?
Very good question to be asked and addressed. So a few answers to that. I think if you're hosting an event and you know you want to take pictures at the event, you can do a couple of things. In the registration, you can have some language there that says that when a person registers, they're giving permission for their images to be used. Secondly, at the event itself, you can make an announcement that there will be photographs taken, and if there's anybody who does not want their image taken, have them sit in a designated area of the room. And check with your organization because they may have a media release form that you can use and have people sign so that you definitely have everyone's permission. And we can also send you a sample of that. I see in the chat they're asking about children, and this is a whole different area when you're dealing with children. Never take a picture of a child and post it without the permission of the parent. If you have children at an event and you have a group of them, you can do a shot from behind so you're not getting anybody's face in the photograph. But if you know you want to take pictures of the children, you will need to receive permission from the parent or guardian and have releases present so that those can be signed and you can have them on hand because that's definitely a very sensitive area and should be carefully managed.
Absolutely. And I just want to add,
No, please.
To watch the privacy settings of every single social media tool that you're using. They change very frequently. So if you are using these tools in your service, you make sure that you're up on those policies for Twitter, Facebook, and whatever social media or photo sharing site that you're using. Please be very careful to read those and make sure that you understand them and that you know what you're getting into because you are representing not only your organization but AmeriCorps Vista, and we just want to make sure that you are absolutely certain what you're doing when you're out there so that if something does arise, and sometimes they will, that you're able to defend the use of that particular tool.
Great.
Anything else to add, or shall we go to another question?
I think that's good. That answers people's questions. Use your common sense, depending on what your organization does. When I served as a Vista, I was at a domestic violence shelter, so we were very careful. Well, not to mention there wasn't social media back then, but that's okay. That's an aside. But we had to be very careful about wanting to have any of our people that we were serving their images exposed. Just be very cognizant of the population that you're working with.
I see some questions in Q&A, but before we do that, Suzanne, should we see if there's somebody on the call?
Operator, do we have any calls on the line?
We have no questions for the phone at this time. As a reminder, you may press star 1 on your phone to ask your question.
Okay. It seems like people are using the chat and Q&A features, so we'll continue to use those resources, and if we get any questions, we'll collect them in a bit.
Great, thank you. So someone asked, what about changes of staff? Vista person starts, then leaves. What happens with the next Vista? And actually, Robin, if your phone line's open, I'm going to throw that to you as a Vista alum. You did a really great job being able to leave some legacy behind for the next social media person to make sure that it stayed sustainable. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so when I left my Vista project, I was running social media, and so I created a binder that basically, so I did two things. First, I created a binder that really wrote down what our voice was, and like, so it pretty specific about, like, these are the things that, you know, on Twitter we share quotes, we share links about service learning. We had at that point like a campaign, like a hashtag campaign that was like Fact Friday, where we pulled out different facts about service learning. And so I really didn't describe everything that we did on those sites, and then did one for each site that we had. The other thing that I did to keep that sustainability is I actually used Hootsuite, and I used just file services to give, basically I scheduled messages for 3 months after I left, so that there would still be messages going out on Twitter and Facebook. And I created a blog reserve, so like we also had a blog, so for 6 months I had different people write blog posts so that we would have kind of going out, which of course with social media, you know, you want to stay as current as you can, but sometimes it's really easy to lose momentum if you're not tweeting or not doing anything. So having, you know, some sold or, you know, canned content that they can at least use as a base while they're waiting for during that transition time can be really helpful as well.
I'm looking at a comment in the chat that says, I really don't understand the point of these photo-only sites if you're using Facebook and such. So the point of these sites is to grow your community. There are people on Twitter who are never going to go over to Facebook, and there are people on Facebook who are never going to go over to Twitter, and there are people who are on Instagram that are never going to go to either. The same with Pinterest. So what I'm trying to do is encourage you to people where they are and to use as many tools as you feel comfortable with, because to be honest with you, and we've talked about this before in some of the other web shops, you don't have to jump out there and use every single tool that's available to you. You experiment and see what works for you. Your constituents and the most people you're talking to are on Facebook, and that's for them, then maybe you don't need to do some of these other sites. But if you've maxed out your Facebook page and it's doing very, very well, and you understand the people that are posting, and you understand your audience, and you understand what they're looking for, if you've gotten up to, as Phil has, 1,000 people on Twitter, and you have not maximized that, because I don't think there's a such thing as maximizing it, but you absolutely understand your audience, and you've really worked very hard to understand your audience, and you want to bring something else into the conversation and grow it even more, then we suggest that you use some of these other sites. It's a way to reach your community and get that message out there. We really want people to know about AmeriCorps Vista. We really want people to know about the good, fabulous, wonderful work that you do, and the more ways that you can reach them. It's almost like instead of sending out, an email with just to one person, you're sending out different emails to many people over different types of platforms. And that's why we're talking about these photo sharing sites. They feed back into your social media sites, or they don't have to. You can grow them just in one particular area. So I hope that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Liz, someone is saying that they were having trouble getting their organization on board, and some folks were worried about people making inappropriate comments on Facebook, etc., and that has limited their functionality. And boy, we've seen that before. So do you want to take a stab at that one?
Sure. I'm assuming when they're saying some folks are worried about people making inappropriate comments, the folks are staff members or board members. My advice is to, if you can, get the bin of some staff members or board members and dip your toe in the water. So maybe, rather than starting a Facebook page and a Twitter account and Instagram and Pinterest and doing all these things, you start small. So maybe you start with Facebook, and the comments are public. So if there is something inappropriate, you, the administrator, can delete it. And secondly, it can be a learning opportunity to reach out to whomever it is that is making that type of comment. some experimentation, and there may be people who are at your organization that might not see the value in it. But we've also got all these archives of the different tools that you can use to show them and help them see the value in reaching more constituents. I mean, this isn't, as I said earlier, this isn't just for fun. The really intent is that whatever your Vista assignment description is, whether you're supposed to be recruiting volunteers, or whether you're supposed to be raising money for the organization, or whether you're supposed to be raising the visibility of that organization within the community, however it is that you're building capacity as a Vista at that organization, this is a tool for you to reach those goals. Absolutely. You're just getting in front of more people, and like Danielle said, you're meeting them where they are. So it's twofold. You're reaching out to the people involved in your organization and potential people, and then you're also helping to strengthen the AmeriCorps Vista presence in communities across the country, which only helps us all. It helps you when you go out and try to find a job when you're done with Vista. Everybody recognizes it on your resume, and it helps us just to build the program and have more support for it. So there's multiple reasons to get involved with this, and it's totally understandable that you may meet with some resistance, but my advice is to start small and involve the people and know that you can manage it. Danielle, do you have anything else to add to that?
No, I think that's absolutely it hit the point that I'm hoping everyone on the phone really understands, that these are tools. There was a time when you had to buy commercials, you sent out newsletters, you bought ads, you made posters, you did flyers, and you went door to door handing out this information about the great work that you all are doing. So social media allows you to have, for the most part, very free tools to do those same things in a very fast-paced way. And I'm looking at what's going on in the chat, and I absolutely believe it makes a lot more sense to do one or two or three things in social media really, really well, as opposed to trying to jump out and do 5, 6, or 7. Our role is to help you with options of ways that you think will help promote the good that you're doing, and also AmeriCorps Vista as a whole. That I talked a little bit about sustainability and how do you keep your social media going after you leave. We actually have not one but 2 web shops on that, and the person who was speaking was Robin, and Robin is the guest on one of those, and she goes into pretty detail about the binder that she created and how she created it for you. So we're going to have that link available for you so that you can go ahead and look at some of our archives so that you can spend a little bit more time talking about social media. We have some that will explain, some webinars that will explain social media Monday web shops, rather, that will explain how to develop your plan. It talks to how do you get buy-in for your supervisors. It also speaks to how to walk away and keep them sustainable. So we couldn't fit all into 1 hour, but we do have a great library built up of archives that will help you do that. And so we hope that you will go ahead and stick around and those. Now, we are running out of time. We're almost done, but we're going to keep the conversation going. If you have more questions, or if you want to learn more, if you have more things that you want to share, hopefully you are all on Twitter. And you can tweet chat immediately after this using the hashtag #VPhoto for Vista Photo, right? So we hope that you will join us, and we will answer some more of your questions. We are also going to give you, at the end of this, a link to the forum. So if you're not able to join us for an hour for the tweet chat, if you would enter questions to the Vista forum, and we will answer them there. So we have some more house cleaning that we have to do. Liz is going to talk to you about some things to keep in mind.
The webinar would not be complete if we didn't talk about the Hatch Act. Hopefully you all remember from TSO that the Hatch Act is about political activity and things that you may and may not do as a Vista. So check your Vista handbook. It very clearly outlines what those activities are you may or may not do as a Vista under a Hatch Act. So without going through all of them, just if you're in doubt, go ahead and check your Vista handbook, and it has them all spelled out there. Very important, be tasteful and appropriate. Remember, you're representing your organization and you're representing AmeriCorps Vista. And you can use the filter if you don't want to see your post on the cover of the New York Times, then you may not want to send that message. So just be very tasteful and appropriate, and everybody will be appreciative of that. And then, of course, stay safe online. So protect yourself and your organization, and just be smart.
As I said earlier, we have several social media resources available for you, and one is the Social Media Monday course page, and that link is going to be provided at the end of this. And Liz wants to talk about your photo on the website, on the campus website.
So we'd love if you would, you can't, good thing you can't see mine because it's not very good, but we would encourage you to post your own photo on your profile on the Vista campus. So go ahead and take a minute to update your profile with a photo, put your pin in the map, and that's a great way to further create community on the campus through photos.
As I mentioned earlier, these links from the website are set from the web shop. Whew, I'm getting tongue-tied. The links from the web
We're all
shop.
done.
Yeah, say that 3 times fast. They're available for you right here. And these are the ones that we went over. And then these are our social media links, so that we hope that you will join us in our social media spaces. And you can see that we're in just a few select places. We're not all over the place, so we have just chosen to be in a few select places as well. You'll see that there's an evaluation going on right now. We really hope that you will take the time to fill those out. Questions, and we thank you for your participation. Liz is going to go over a few things for you.
Great. So yes, again, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it when you all take advantage of these opportunities that we've created for you to get some professional development. So I hope you've learned from today and enjoy getting more involved with using images to move your organization's mission forward, as well as AmeriCorps Vista's mission. So we want to also just make sure you're aware that our next Social Media Monday topic is on LinkedIn. So if you're closing service soon, you might want to be thinking about preparing for life after Vista, and LinkedIn can help you. It's a tool for getting a great job when you're done with your Vista service term. So thanks again, everyone. Thanks to Phil. Really appreciate your input. And,
no problem.
Yes. So we will see you online. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. We're going to leave the poll up just for the evaluation up a little while so that you can fill it out. We really do appreciate you doing this for us. It helps guide these web shops moving forward, and we will be moving over to Twitter very soon.
This was today's conference. All parties may disconnect at this time.